I hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday. Good evening to you. Meteorologist Todd Howell here in the Channel 10 Streaming Center. Once again, a new update tonight. We do have some pretty notable changes tonight and today compared to the same time yesterday. But impacts are still looking pretty high for this winter storm system approaching this weekend. So we'll get to a lot of different details once again. Thank you for joining us. Again, we'll continue to keep you updated as we approach this winter storm event that looks to start. Timing now starts Saturday morning and continues through late Sunday night, Saturday morning through Sunday night, could even linger into early Monday morning as some more very cold air sweeps back in. So we'll be talking about all those details coming right up. Right now, this is our weather headlines. I'll get to in a moment, but this is our downtown camera. And so we do have a band and a batch of light rain showers that are moving through. These are non-impactful, scattered light rains this evening, a few snow showers in the mountains. This is a weak winter system. That's going to move on out. And we're generally looking at some drier weather as we get into your Thursday and Friday before that winter storm system approaches Saturday and into the weekend. So let's talk about this. What has changed today compared to yesterday? Yesterday, we were talking about a significant wintry weather likely for the weekend, right? And we were talking about potentially a lot of that, yes, snow, significant snow amounts possible, what the modeling was shown. Well, here's the big story today. As far as the snow part, what has changed? Models have shifted that heaviest axis of snow much further north. Matter of fact, again, we don't have enough time to go through all the past few days, but it's one of those things, yes, we have been witnessing and seeing models go back and forth from excessive double-digit snowfall amounts being projected for Knoxville and much of East Tennessee the last several days to one of our reliable models, much less snow. So the overall spirit of what we're seeing now is for less snowfall potential. But here's what I want to point out. It's not just the snowfall amounts we're focusing on. Matter of fact, this winter storm will have some snow, it will have sleet, it will have ice, and even some rain. And we could go from all of that back to snow on the backside. So we're looking at a winter storm with all modes of precipitation on the table. All precipitation types are possible. So even though it's less snow overall, the impacts are still expected to be high. Why? Cold air, cold ground. We're still going to see some snow and sleet, some accumulations, and we could see, unfortunately, more ice. So here's what we're talking about. We're talking about more of a wintry mix, especially for most of East Tennessee. Let me take it full here, and we'll talk about what we're looking at. Again, the wintry mix and more of the icing is going to be possible. So that's the unfortunate part. As we were talking yesterday about, we could see some, again, some significant, primarily snow and sleet. We'll get into the weeds, so to speak, the nuts and bolts, and dive into that coming up in just a moment. But yesterday looked like a lot of snow, mainly snow and sleet. Today, as far as the precipitation types, less snow overall, but everything's shifted north, and that means more potential icing. So we'll walk through the details going forward. Let's focus on Saturday. So here's what we're looking at for Saturday. We've got a mix of snow and sleet developing. It will likely develop that morning and continue into the afternoon. Now, here's what we're looking at. That changes to freezing rain by later Saturday afternoon and evening. So once we go late Saturday afternoon and evening into Saturday night, we've got some warmer air that's going to be moving up the valley. Models were showing some of this even yesterday as far as the warmer air. Matter of fact, you know this very well. If you're watching us last night, we talked about that warm nose, and wherever it stops to the north of that, that's where you're going to see heavy excessive snow. Well, that warm nose is continuing to move even further north in today's model run. So that is, as the warmer air shifts more north, so does the heaviest snow. It's that simple. It's just the placement. And that's today's model runs. Now, today is Wednesday. We're still 2 to 3 days away, but we're going to talk more about those details. So, but also everything's shifting north. That means the freezing rain potential and that icy mixture that was more in Alabama, Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia last night. So that's shifting north. So again, we'll get to all those details coming up. Let's get ahead to our rest of our headlines, though. Saturday night into Sunday morning, that warmer air is going to try to change most of the precipitation over to rain and freezing rain. Before it goes to all rain, it looks like it may for Sunday morning as we get just above freezing for Sunday morning for a brief period of time. We could have freezing rain. Now, what's the difference? We'll talk about that in our precip types map in a moment, but freezing rain is the same as rain. They're both rain, but all the way to the ground. But if the ground is freezing, 32 degrees or colder, That means it freezes on contact with the ground and coats everything with the glaze of ice. Everything starts freezing. It's rain all the way down, but we could see that freezing rain and that icing potential, and there's even the icing potential of 1/4 to 1/2 inch possible. We were hoping, and as of yesterday, thought most of our models were showing that would pretty much be to our south, but again, things shifted north, and therefore, that's why the forecast has been updated as far as what we're talking about, our potential impacts and amounts. Everything's shifting north. The impacts are still very high, but as far as the snow amounts, less snow overall. It's not going to be an all snow event. It's more going to be a hybrid wintry mix event. Snow and sleet, but also freezing rain and even some rain. So that takes care of our Sunday morning, freezing rain and maybe some rain in the morning. But look at this. Then it goes back to snow showers as colder air sweeps in later for Sunday afternoon and Sunday night. That could actually linger into Monday morning as much colder air arrives. All right, so here's what we're looking at. We'll walk through all the maps and all the details now. A little bit dry and still very mild for your Thursday tomorrow. We hit 58 degrees, by the way, today. It was breezy and warm with a lot of sunshine, and then we had those scattered rains this evening. But back up around 50, could easily be in the low 50s in some spots again tomorrow, but dry and partly cloudy. Trending cooler, lower 40s for your Friday. And then there's our Saturday. We have a weather impact alert that will be in place for starting Saturday morning, and that's going to run through the rest of the weekend through late Sunday night. So that's what we're looking at, that chance for that wintry mix developing. Initially snow and sleet Saturday morning into afternoon before we have a raindrop, because again, snow and sleet initially, some accumulations likely Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. And we'll talk more about that in a moment in our mapping, but then it changes to that freezing rain and rain later Saturday night into Sunday morning. And so we'll look at the rest of our 7-day forecast, of course, coming up. We do have a winter storm watch that has been issued by the National Weather Service at Morristown, also Nashville and Jackson. We have 3 different National Weather Service offices that cover the Channel 10 viewing area. Just a quick side note, Middle Tennessee, as far as Nashville, they cover Fentress and Cumberland counties on the plateau. The rest of East Tennessee, Morristown covers. But Nashville technically covers Jamestown and Crossville because they're in the central time zone. And so just a side note there, Jackson, Kentucky covers our southeast Kentucky counties, but from Williamsburg to London and Corbin. And Morristown covers all of East Tennessee counties. They also cover Lee County, Virginia. That's in our viewing area, and they cover several more counties in Virginia. Morristown also covers parts of southwest North Carolina, a couple of counties there. But a winter storm watch means hazardous travel conditions are possible, and in this case, likely within the next 24 to 48 hours. So the timing is technically 1 a.m. Saturday, just after midnight Friday night, but for clarity, we just put Friday night, and it runs through 7 p.m. Sunday night. Now, it actually starts at 6 p.m. Friday evening for the plateau, and it starts also late Friday evening for parts of Kentucky, 1 a.m. in East Tennessee. So that's why we put Friday night for most everybody. It basically a 48-hour period from Friday night through Sunday night. Again, hazardous wintry weather is expected, and travel conditions could be very hazardous as well. So what's the weather impact? We're talking about an impactful wintry mix now, not all snow. Most of our area is going to see a wintry mix of snow, sleet, and freezing rain, and even some of that rain again Saturday night, Sunday morning. Roads will likely become slick and hazardous, and hazardous travel conditions are possible and even expected, because we are going to see this winter mix with the cold ground in place, cold air in place. It's certainly going to be hazardous. So here's the key. Again, we had a big change in the modeling from yesterday to today. Could the models change back, or will we see any other notable changes? It's possible, but yeah, check back for updates, because this is just the nature of weather in the atmosphere, computer modeling. It's a stronger storm system, and I will get more into this when I show the regional map in just several graphics from now, but the storm system actually has gotten stronger. But because it's gotten stronger, it's pulling up some of that warm, not only the moisture pulling up from the Gulf, it's pulling up the warmer air with it. So that's why everything got shifted more northward as far as placement. So it's pretty much straightforward. And from yesterday to today, though, it was definitely a big change from what we were seeing. So here's what we're talking about. This is one of our most important maps, and we'll spend just a few moments on this. So this is precipitation types and totals. Okay, and I'll be honest with you, we talked yesterday, I told you we would start with our totals a day early. Normally we do 1 to 2 days out. Normally I would start Thursday, but this was a notable storm, so we would go ahead and do that early. So we are doing that. I'll be honest with you, It's hard to really, it's particularly hard to come up with a storm total because we could see snow and sleet to start, and it's going to be icing, change freezing rain, maybe some rain, and then go back to snow. So that's the complicated nature of this winter storm. But nonetheless, we'll still have the totals, and this is a starting point, and we'll kind of go from there. But the best chance for accumulating snow has shifted north, mainly up into Kentucky and Virginia, and near the Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia state line, and the northern counties shaded in this color purple here. So for the purple shaded counties, northern counties in East Tennessee, Kentucky, and Virginia, wrapping it back around the mountains, you have the best chance for accumulating snow. We've got 3 to 6 inches plus now this is the other thing. When I'm talking about a big change in the snow shifting north, true, one of our reliable models has definitely done that, and so that's notable. Our other extended models we use 2 medium range models. We're still in the medium range for the most part, but about to move in the high res range. But our other model still shows decent snow, even for a good portion of East Tennessee. So it's not a slam dunk of it will or it won't. I wish it was, right? It'd be easier to forecast. It's just not how it works, especially in East Tennessee when you have our varied topography. So we know about that. But this is it's a complicated winter storm because it's strengthening, and one of our reliable models does show enough warmer air that it's keeping the heaviest snow northward. Other model still gives it a chance to come back. So check back in again for these daily updates, and we'll do our best to let you know how it changes. But that's what we're doing right now. This is the very latest of what we're seeing today as of Wednesday. All right, so in the pink area for Knoxville, Morristown, surrounding areas, this is where we have the highest chance for an all-out wintry mix. So that does include everything, some snow and sleet starting Saturday, but then as we talked about, changing to freezing rain and even some rain. So basically, for most of East Tennessee, it looks like we get in on almost all precipitation types. And that does include even changing over to rain, a cold rain briefly Sunday morning before that cold air sweeps back in. But here's our concerns with the icing potential. Snow and sleet initially, some accumulations, but icing, freezing rain, icing could be a quarter to maybe even up a half inch possible. Hopefully not. But when we start talking about icing, we have to introduce the power outages to the equation. And again, icing, we talked about this yesterday, that's the worst, right? And so, unfortunately, I get everything shifted north. So what our neighbors to our south we're mainly going to get with the icing, freezing rain, that's also come up in East Tennessee. Okay, so we'll talk more about that. Oh, I do want to mention, the snow part, anywhere from 1 to 4 inches plus. So we're still looking at some snowfall accumulations possible. Again, the plus part, I know that's a little bit of a wide range, and believe me, and that's why I shared it first, it's complicated, as one of our other models still brings decent snowfall amounts higher than that into a good portion of the area. And even the 3 to 6 inches plus, that other reliable model, it wants to more than double that for parts of Kentucky and Virginia. So that's why we have the plus. There's that potential. Okay, but here's the thing. We don't just go with one model run. As we talked about yesterday, you'll see that on social media, somebody will throw it out. Now, it's not that easy. It's complicated. We take a lot of data into account and then give you our forecast. So this is our starting point of what we're looking at and trying to be measured, no pun intended, of what we go with. And then this is Wednesday. We still have a couple of days, obviously, to do the fine tuning as we're moving into that range on our timeline. So that's what it looks like. Again, right now, more details to come in our maps in just a second. Lowest snow totals in the Southern Valley, but that's where also there could be that icing potential still before it changes over to rain. So the further north you go, the better chance for snow in general, and on up into Kentucky and Virginia. Okay, so Cassie Knoll, as we posted that on our Facebook and social media pages, so you can read up on more of that information and check that out as well. We're going to try to do our very best to give complete updates and coverage throughout this event and leading up to it. So here are the winter weather impacts. What has not changed, the travel impacts are still expected, and we have a high impact for hazardous travel conditions, hazardous driving. Roads are still expected to be not good because, as we talked about yesterday, amounts are important, certainly, but it's not just the amounts to focus on, it's the impacts. Regardless of how much snow, ice, or whatever falls, it only takes a little bit sometimes, as you know, to create hazardous driving conditions. So we have that expected, and that's likely. Now, the snow impact is back down to moderate. Again, and that has definitely been adjusted from what we were thinking yesterday. We had it significant. We had it even high to extreme, actually, because models were showing that. So it's definitely come down as far as the snow part. And also just to point out, the most likely accumulating snow is expected to be from Interstate 40 north. A lot of times I-40, it kind of serves as a dividing line to the halfway point in East Tennessee. So the northern half, again, has a better chance for accumulating snow versus the southern half. Still going to see some, it's just the better coverage and chances for snow, I-40 north. But here's the issue. We've got it at a moderate impact right now. Hopefully this doesn't get raised, but it could. Power outage is possible because icing is now part of our wintry mix equation. So again, thankfully, we still have time. We've got a few days to look at it and get ready. But again, as far as your winter preparations, flashlights, batteries, the basics, right? In case the power goes out, do you have a safe heating source and those type things with the cold? And if the roads are hazardous, number one, safe heating, plenty of food, supplies, etc., because it may be hard to get out or difficult to travel on the roads. In some areas, it may be very difficult. So that's why we're saying be prepared for that. But if the power goes out, have everything charged up, the batteries, the flashlights, etc. We recommend the flashlights and not the candles burning. So it's always good to have those items on hand. The cold is kind of a low impact because thankfully, as far as the weekend goes now, we're just dealing with kind of the 20s and 30s. Now, early next week, lows in the teens and single digits. As the system moves out, the very cold air moves in. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. So let me take this full, and I'll talk a little bit more about this as well. Yesterday, we were primarily focusing on mostly snow that looked significant and some sleet, but not much icing. And we had some with a question mark, right? Unfortunately, again, this snow has decreased overall in the equation. The sleet and freezing rain part, the mix, has increased to go along with some snow. And then even introduced some rain with that warmer air as we get into our Saturday night and Sunday morning. So that's what we're looking at as far as that wintry weather potential. All right, well, let's talk about what we're seeing. Again, for tonight, we've got this scattered rain moving through, some snow showers showing up in the mountains. This is our Futurecast for tonight. Let's go ahead and talk about, and I'm going to let this play through. And it's tomorrow for Thursday. Most of our Friday looks dry. We have one model actually brings a light wintry mix in here Friday. Just some prefrontal moisture, probably going to stay just to our south. So let's see. This model may have updated. I'm going to turn this is our high-res model. So we are actually doing a handoff, if you will, from the medium-range models to the high-res models now. So once you get into the higher resolution modeling, you get even more details. And we were talking about yesterday, that's usually when we start doing our snowfall totals or storm impacts, even more so, because it gets more known. And more is known, and it gets more accurate the closer you get. So this is our high-res model. It only goes out through, I believe, about early Saturday afternoon. We'll see that in a moment as far as it goes out right now, but we'll continue to show that going forward. So here's Saturday morning at 7 a.m., and you can see we got some snow and some sleet. The pink is sleet, maybe mixed with freezing rain. In this case, it's a mixture of snow and sleet initially, and the blue is snow. So initially, it does look like we have snow and some sleet mix developing Saturday morning. And that will continue into the afternoon. But notice what happens, and again, this is a high-res model, and this also is showing what our other medium-range models were showing. The warmer air is starting to push northward. We still got that mixture of some snow and sleet into our Saturday afternoon, and the snow, but notice all the snow part gets pushed up where most of Kentucky is seeing the snow, and most of Tennessee is now in the pink later Saturday afternoon into the evening. And I know it's not showing as much moisture here. We'll see. It's just early on in the game and get it going. So we do have that warmer air, but that's where we're anticipating that snow and sleet changing over to sleet and even some freezing rain possible. We're still going to be just below freezing for a period of time, that Saturday into Saturday night. So here's our other medium range model. So let me switch over. Then we went from high res, detailed, to not quite as high resolution, medium range. And this is the same model we were showing yesterday. We've been showing the last few days. So, and I'll pick it back up where the other one left off. Actually, I need to start right here, and then we'll go forward. So pick it up where the other one left off. Basically, again, we've got that snow-sleet combo, and it keeps the snow around a little bit longer. This is the medium range. But once we move into our Saturday night, there's 11 p.m. Saturday. Again, it also shows not only the rain in Alabama, the freezing rain in northern Alabama and southern parts of middle Tennessee, southern parts of middle and east Tennessee, southeast Tennessee. We could be seeing some freezing rain and icing. So that mix of some sleet to freezing rain is moving in later Saturday night, and that kind of continues to move northward into early Sunday morning. So let's move forward. So there's what we're looking at as we head into our Sunday morning. Again, this is one of our medium range models, and it is showing that we could have anything from rain to freezing rain if it's still at 32 or colder, but we're forecasting temperatures to get just above freezing Sunday, so that would be the rain. But we could have, and then we could go back to some sleet mixed with snow as we go later Sunday afternoon. So let me let this play through. May play through too fast here, so I'll just do it manually. As we go later Sunday morning into the afternoon, now notice what this model's showing. And again, this is a good bit different than our other medium range model. The other one is the one that has that strong warm nose. To be honest with you, I think the spirit of that one is good, and this one's also showing some of that warm nose and warm air. But the other model, I think, is too aggressive with its main low pressure, whereas we have a new low forming off the mid-Atlantic. I think that's more correct, but that's what this model's showing. So we feel like the overall trend of this model is probably correct once we move into Sunday and Sunday night. But it's showing the backside, that colder air, sweeping back in for more accumulating snowfall possible area-wide as we get into our Sunday afternoon and Sunday night. Now, again, the other model does not show that. So this is why it's complicated, okay? This is a possibility as far as the snowfall, but that's why it's also hard. It's not a slam dunk, and that's why our storm totals get very tricky, especially when there's disagreement. If, you know, this particular model shows still a decent snowfall and a mix for all of East Tennessee, whereas the other one shows mix likely, but not as much snow. So that's why we still have to, again, be diligent and to hone in on the details as we get closer and closer to the event. As more is known, again, the forecast will become more refined. So that's the process going forward. But this one does show that cold air sweeping in. It will end late Sunday night. Actually, that particular model tries to carry it over into early Monday morning. So whatever has fallen or will fall from Saturday through Sunday night, Monday looks cold below freezing, and some morning lows down the teens. And Monday night, we got lows in the single digits. So whether there's a lot, a little, or somewhere in between, it has a good chance to stick around, if you will, for Monday and Tuesday, at least at night and in the morning, with refreezing will be a concern, in other words. So we'll have to see. Again, not expected to get back above freezing. After Sunday morning, get above freezing briefly, but until Tuesday afternoon. So that's what we're looking at for that going forward. So here's a look at, once again, what we're seeing. Just wanted to point out, and I'll walk through these. We're starting to see the leading edge of Arctic air. It's showing up now. There's your single digits and teens. So we're starting to see that come southward out of Canada. Still got several days to get here. Again, this is expected to be here about 48 hours from now. It won't be that cold right away, but eventually that Arctic front is going to get here later Friday night. And that's when we go below freezing for pretty much an extended period. So it's starting to show up in our extended models. And so here's a look. The bark is worse than the bite with this system moving through tonight. It looks like, oh, we got a whole lot of rain. It's some rain. It's mostly light. And again, this is a non-impact system. It's just a weak system moving through. The main front and everything else is still yet to form. Matter of fact, let me take this full and I'll show you. You see that curlicue? That's a low pressure spinning right here off California. That's the low pressure system. That's going to be the main piece of energy that gets kicked out and helps. Notice it's got counterclockwise circulation, right? So that's the main feature. As it gets kicked eastward, it's going to start to pull that moisture from the Gulf. Again, I'm just talking about out in time. So once we get into the weekend, that's when we're going to start seeing that Gulf moisture overriding the cold front, and it will do so in this fashion and pretty aggressively. And so not only the Gulf moisture, again in time, but we're also talking about the warmer air as well. Matter of fact, I have this model, so let me just go ahead and show you that. I'll have to stop it because I don't have the pulse points plated here. Thursday and Friday dry. It's actually the same model we looked at a moment ago. But here comes, just to reiterate, there's the snow and sleet, changing to sleet and freezing rain as we go through the day Saturday. So once again, that brings us back to where we were. That's as far as this model goes out right now through late Saturday afternoon. And again, we'll be looking at that accumulating snow and sleet during the day Saturday, and then that wintry mix of ice and changing over maybe some freezing rain and icing over to also the even rain as we go Sunday morning. So here's a look at our 7-day forecast. And again, we are talking about that winter storm that starts, the timing is it starts Saturday morning, maybe fairly early, but the winter storm watch will go into effect just after midnight Friday night, and especially for the plateau in Kentucky. And otherwise, it will be in place throughout the weekend. Lingering effects from anything that falls 13 Sunday night, Monday morning, and a high of 30 Monday. Cold below freezing, 8 for a low Monday night. Tuesday morning, a high of 34 Tuesday. We're back up in the lower 40s and continuing to thaw out once we get into our Wednesday, 1 week from now. So that's what we're looking at as far as the very latest on that. There's one other graphic that I'll see if I can find real quick and see if I can locate that. I'll try to show you that real quick if I can. And here it is right here. Cassie, no, we made that graphic earlier. Just wanted to highlight one of the other factors. Now that we're looking at, again, a hybrid and mix of a system with more freezing rain and icing potential, this is what we're looking at. Again, when you have 1/10 of an inch of light ice, that produces a glaze of ice on the windshield, slick spots on roads, minor impacts in general. So that's where it looks like we're going to be more in the quarter, hopefully not more than a 1/2 inch, but we're probably going to be somewhere between these two in parts of our region potentially. So when you get more of a 1/4 of an inch, again, that can be black ice, but hazardous travel is more likely. And you can have minor tree damage, you have the power outages possible. That starts to get introduced when you have 1/10 to a 1/4, but between that 1/4 to a 1/2, you know, we're not expecting more than 1/2. So some of these significant impacts as far as icing, hopefully not, but we could see some of those impacts from icing and also including power outages and some tree damage. So I just wanted to show you that because that's one of the elements that we're probably going to have to deal with the wintry mix, not just all snow, but again that possibility of seeing the icing potential with the coating of ice possible as we go through this event. So that's the very latest for now. Again, we're going to keep you updated as we go over the next couple of days. You still have some time to get ready, and we'll do our very best to give you the best forecast we can as it all plays out with the latest weather model. So we'll keep you up to date. Have a good, safe night.